Hello everyone, welcome again to a new video. It's been a while since I recorded a video. Hopefully you're still here and hope you can learn something from this game. Two games I'm gonna commentate today. These are the games I played in the first round of the Hive Fair Play Cup, which is the team tournament we have for Hive. In this edition there are 19 teams. It's getting more and more popular. This year my team is called the Merops Apiaster. Last year I had an Italian team. This year is mixed Italian, Romanian, German, and probably commentate some games also from my teammates. But today I wanted to come to show my games in the first round against the Guatemalan Mexican team. My opponent is David Alatorre. I actually met him in person. He came for the Mind Sports Olympiad in August last year. He improved very much, and he also started playing Hive and other upset games pretty recently. So he became pretty good very fast. In this first game I play white and he plays black. So ladybug opening, ladybug. I go for this mosquito here. Black mosquito here is already a little bit unusual. You'll understand the reason in a second. I like to play this setup. It's a bit more flexible. You keep the queen for the last move, the fourth move. And you have the options to play the queen either here and in a classical setup, and you would probably end up in a Z opening or in a buffer opening if black decide to go for buffer, or white can also play buffer playing the queen here. So I like this setup, but playing the queen straight away was also a good point. Black goes for this, and finally black completes the anti-spawn setup. So the reason why I say the mosquito here is a little bit unusual is that, well, two reasons. First of all, it's on the flank, and this ladybug might end up in a bidirectional pin if white decides to pin the mosquito, which is already pretty appealing. In this case, I can do it also pretty quickly with an ant, and if the mosquito gets pinned, there's no mosquito pillbug combo that can actually help the mosquito to get out of the situation. A mosquito here and in line would have also been a better idea. Even together with the anti-spawn setup. Wait, let me. What I mean is a mosquito here will still be better. First of all, it would be easier to free the mosquito if it was here in this position, because it's not on the flank, and there are at least 2 trigger points depending on where I pin the mosquito, and also the ladybug would not get into this bidirectional pin. I'm not saying it's not playable, but it's a risky variation, I would say. I keep playing my ant game. The point is also that the mosquito doesn't have yet an ant next to it, so it's not very like the mosquito is not threatening to actually pin any of my pieces. It could surely move somewhere inside the hive, but I don't think that changing the shape of the hive would benefit black particularly, especially as in the opening you will need to like play as many ants as possible quickly. It's usually a better way to handle the opening phase. So the ant comes, but I pin the mosquito now. And as I said, the pillbug is not nearby, and it will be complicated to release to free this mosquito. And indeed, the rest of the game, this mosquito will stay here. What can black do? And indeed, is a good move. Is to create an X trap here. The idea is that if white attacks, if white takes this space, then it creates a ring. So the idea is that the black ladybug should be free. In this case, it's not free yet, exactly because of the bidirectional pin I was talking about before. So in this case, this X trap is still not the best, but the black queen can escape anyway. Also, of course, it creates a gate, like the X trap does normally, so that ants cannot, or spiders cannot attack this space very easily. Okay, so there's a typical structure that black puts in place to defend. It's pretty solid. So, and at the same time, my white ant is blocked next to my queen, which is never a good thing. But of course, white still has a small advantage, especially given this kind of unusual position of the mosquito. Black at this point is behind in the ant game, and again, since the doesn't have the mosquito pillbug combo, playing the ant game now would mean basically losing both ants, right? So if black goes for this, and white would pin it, black pins another ant, white could pin it, and then at this point black needs to find something else, go for a beetle attack or using a spider somehow. So I think it was a good decision by David not to play this line immediately, but go for a spider, which can be used like a sort of intermediate move. In this case, white can respond in a typical way using the pillbug. So now if the spider tries to attack the queen, of course, it will miss the kill spot, and at the same time, yeah, it's not a big deal for white if the pillbug is pinned. This is not what actually matters this stage, and it's pretty slow for black. So black decided not to play this, but sacrifice a beetle, which is in... I'm not sure actually what will be the best move here. I think sacrificing one beetle is still okay. It's potentially a good idea. Other things black could do are, for instance, sacrifice an ant and then a beetle. There are different ideas. For instance, if white decides to pin the ant, pinning an ant here would mean that the spider can also pin the mosquito, and this black ant is free again. Also, if the white mosquito pins the ant, then there is a trick that we will see later as well, which is... But why do I have to... I don't want to press... Yeah, done. There is a trick as well, which is taking advantage of this formation for white, where the white ladybug is not free, so that black has basically a safe pocket for the beetle. Now the white ladybug would be free, but the black beetle can jump, can climb on top. So again, black has to sacrifice something, but could achieve also something if done in the right order. Of course, white can also pin this way, and with using an ant, and this trick with the beetle doesn't work anymore. So black has to play a bit differently, and a bit more slowly. But let's see, there were also some other chances during the game. This is what happened. David sacrificed a beetle, and I decided to pin my ant. I pinned the beetle straight away, simply because I have ants available, and whenever you can pin an opponent beetle, 90% of the cases is a good choice. I say this especially because I have a pillbug here in place, and the beetle is what black will need to qualify for the win, right? Neutralizing the pillbug. So pinning the beetle is kind of natural. Using mosquito or ant is probably a matter of taste. The problem pinning with mosquito is that then the black spider would actually make my mosquito immobile for a long time. So I thought that pinning with an ant was a better choice. And the mosquito in this case it still has ant power, which is actually not usual for classical setups. This ant here is locked, but at least I'm kind of take advantage of it using the mosquito. Black repins the ant. There might have been again other options. At this point, probably sacrificing the ant would have been a good idea. I think putting the spider down is a bit slow. You don't really expect white to release this pin soon. So, especially not like immediately, right? Why would I pin the beetle and then move the ant again? So I don't think black should be in a hurry to pin the white ant. I also have an extra tempo now for placing a beetle. Black now really needs to sacrifice an ant, like sooner or later has to do it. My mosquito pins the ant. At this point, black put another beetle down, but he actually missed again the trick that we were talking about before. After placing a beetle, what I did is to shift the pin and pin the beetle. Why? The reason is very simple. The pill bug is here, and the black mosquito will not be able to get in play very easily. Once my mosquito covered the beetle, black has basically only one beetle that potentially can neutralize the pill bug, cover the pill bug or the queen, which means that it becomes very hard for black to win. But if you have followed my comments before, you will know that the move that would have worked here is this one. So it basically achieved the same, has the same goal, but here the beetle cannot be pinned. And also introduce a bit of complexity in the sense that black could also decide to free the, to break the ring in a different way. For instance, after this move, black could, this would be the main plan, break the ring using the beetle. Of course, the white beetle is kind of taking care of this spot, so black will not be able to qualify for the win immediately. It's still having a beetle on top of the hive is quite valuable. So in the long term, it can be useful even for an end game. Instead, what happened in the game is that black plays a beetle here, and I shift the pin with the mosquito. Yes. And made sure that white could not, that black could not qualify for the win. Black decided to place another ant here, and I climbed up with the beetle. At this point, probably black could have pinned my mosquito. First of all, pinning mosquito is always valuable, as we said. Second, these two beetles actually are in a quite good position to be free. So to get free eventually. So there is this trigger point here for both beetle. So I could think of something like this. And now both beetle are, well, one of the two beetle is free. Of course, white still has an advantage, but what I mean is that this would have been a better way for black to get a counterplay, especially considering black has another ant in reserve, and the anti-spawn setup is pretty solid, so he would have had some counter chances. Instead, what happened in the game is that after white pinned the beetle and black plays another ant, sure, black has an ant game now, but he has sacrificed the beetle for it, which means he will not be able to qualify for the win any soon. I think there was another actually chance in the game, but we'll see now. I think something like this, or even better with the other ant. This could have been an idea. Of course, again, we're talking about sacrificing an ant for a beetle, and then potentially again a beetle for an ant. But you will get a pretty good ant game at least out of this. And then if white insists, then yeah. And this ant here is inside an elbow, which means it's pretty easy to free it. At this point, the game would be basically ant versus beetle, so there's sort of unbalance, right? If black managed to find some like to defend against this inner hive attack, this beetle attack, then it could be pretty okay. Of course, there's two beetles actually with three with the mosquito here are pretty scary, so I'm not sure, but at least there will be some counterplay for black. This was my idea during the game, at least. This is what happened in the game. Yes, black went to pin my beetle, which also makes sense, of course. But we'll see here that taking control of this spot, which is normally a good thing to do, in this case doesn't work very well because I can use my pill bug to like make sure that the ant moves away and I get back my pocket, basically. So let's move on quickly. So we said this is what happened. Okay, I release the like I place a pin, so I make sure that the mosquito is free to move again without being covered by the beetle underneath. Black hopper here. This is what I was talking about. My pill bug is like harassing the ant here, creating this ring as well. So I would have two possibilities here. Would be able to move the beetle, or I would also be able to warp the ant away. For example, inside this this pocket, and so like decreasing ants the ants possibilities for black. Black decide correctly, I think, to get this straight pin, and now white has a beetle as well plays a beetle as well in the pocket. At this point, you'll see beetle. That black doesn't have a beetle to defend against white plan. White plan is simply to climb up with his beetle, cover the queen, and qualify for the win. Of course, it doesn't mean that you will win the game automatically, but at least there's a chance to win, right? While black basically has almost no chances to win at the moment, or they are very far in the end game. You will need to free a beetle eventually, which is not impossible, but it will take quite a few moves. So black decided to create this ring, which I don't need to break at the moment. Of course, this ant will be very nice to move if possible and break the ring, but that's not what happens. This other ant, the black ant, is free here, but notice that it can't get out of this gate. Black is trying to like make the structure more compact and give also a route to the queen for like running away. I decided to play this move in order to like free this ant here, so I could warp the ant away. Black sees that and correctly decide to move the black ant away. But I would have probably, this means that also my ant is free to move right through this door. I would have probably moved my ant here, so in order to keep a gate, right, so that white ant cannot get out. And if I use my pill bug, then at this point black could just pin the ant in this way. Of course, this means that the white will have two beetles on top of the hive. Well, white also has the choice of keeping the pin on the beetle, and white will get a bit of ant game as well. White is still better. This is what happened in the game. I pin this ant here, and at this point, black doesn't have an ant game anymore. the black ant here, like trying to attack the queen, is not going to work if the pillbug is not neutralized, right? And black doesn't have many pieces in reserve either. So there are some situations where you have to think if you wanna play for 2 or 3 results. 2 or 3 results means that if you cannot win, if your chances to win are very low, you have to accept that and play for 2 results, right? So either you lose the game or you draw if your defense is pretty good. But if you instead like incorrectly keep playing for 3 results, so you keep attacking where there are no real chances to win, then you will just make everything worse. I know it's hard to like suggest something for black here. As I said, I would have probably tried to keep the gate, or maybe just break the ring and go for this, for example. This spider here, like we don't care too much about this spider here. Now the white hand is locked here. You haven't, like, the white queen is not pinned, but there's no point in pinning the ant if there's no plan, right, to attack. So keeping control, like trying to take control of the pieces before attacking the queen is more important. So sorry for my blah 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 talking, but I just want to make sure we understand what's going on here. White pins the ant, so now it's me who's trying to take control of black pieces as much as possible. And notice also white is not in a rush, because it has at least 2 beetles on top of the hive, and it has 4 pieces in reserve. So even if the black queen, you will see during the game, escapes, I should have enough pieces to win. Consider this beetle and this mosquito, that's 2. 4 in reserve, it's already 6. I mean, this move is clearly, I mean, not good because my white queen is free, but honestly at this point there's not much to suggest. I don't know what to suggest for black. Probably keeping the black queen here is better than escaping, but simply because you are putting all your pieces in a string, right? So what you want to do when you defend is basically to move your pieces out of your kill spots at the right time, but not before then. If you do it before then, you stretch the hive, which is what happened here. Well, let's say white plays this. Black plays this, and white covers the queen. Is it actually very bad for black? The thing is, in principle it is, but first of all, there are no direct drops around the queen, so the beetle is not so scary. Second, the cure is worse than the poison. So moving the queen away would end up in even less mobility for your pieces. So here, at least, for example, black will be able to free the ant. Of course, white also is not forced to cover the queen, so probably the best move will still be to move the queen away and keep the 2 ants blocked in there. So this move is definitely not something you want to do. Yeah, this was what happened in the game. At this point, there is really not much to do. Even if my queen could be potentially surrounded in a few moves, the pale bug is there, so it's really impossible to win for black, I mean. And now white just goes on direct drop. I mean, we also have to consider that David was with 1 minute on the clock, so of course it's not easy at all playing with 1 minute. But yeah, the game was over. Of course, white has a little advantage, so we always play matches in pairs. And playing black is always a little bit harder. You will see here also white was better until I made some mistakes, and I realized I managed to capitalize on this. So white plays again this setup, which we said is a bit unusual. For white is probably a bit better simply because white has the chance to move this mosquito before black can pin the mosquito, and of course this is not possible the other way around, as we seen in the previous game, because black doesn't have time to move the mosquito. I decided to play the buffer setup, and now white, he plays the same kind of X trap. Now the mosquito is still here, so I could have, for example, pinned the mosquito again, trying to create the same structure of the previous game, but here would be a bit worse for me. Well, first, just because I'm black, and so I'm at tempo less. Second of all, because, well, actually 3 reasons. The second reason is that in this case is the mosquito is pinning my mosquito, so I basically have to sacrifice my mosquito as well. And the third reason is that white hasn't placed the pill bug yet in play, which means that it can still take advantage of this and free this mosquito later on. So this sacrifice would be it wouldn't be such a big compromise in this case. But what I played is this. Also, this move is a bit unusual. I just want to try. Normally, I would play an ant here, I think, but having a spider here, I think, is a good alternative, especially in this position where the spider is threatening to pin the white mosquito. I didn't pin straight away because I was afraid that white would pin my queen, and I wouldn't have any available spawn points for the pillbug. Well, it probably would be still okay because I would have two defenders here, and the white mosquito is pinned. If the white mosquito wasn't pinned, the attacks would be dangerous. But in this case, with only 2 beetles and I have 2 defenders, it should be okay. But I decided to play safely I decided to play safely and place in the pillbug here. Okay. White decide to go on with the attack, and I have to decide how to defend now. So again, different options. So I could pin the mosquito with my spider, but I was afraid that since I don't have 2 defenders, a double beetle attack would manage to for white to qualify for the win, and it would be a bit more complicated for me. But it's probably still doable. So this is what I was worried about. And white qualifies for the win, or well, he can also play ant first, and let's say after this. Anyway, the point is that white ensures that has a white beetle on top of the hive, right? He can climb up with a beetle, with at least 1 beetle. Black has some counterplay, especially given the position of the mosquito here, but it would probably still be doable for black. I decided to go for something different. I decided to play this move, which seems a bit weird. Why would you want to pin an ant that is already attacking the queen? Well, 2 reasons. The first one you've seen is to basically prevent the white from using the spawn points. Like prophylaxis is what is called in chess, like just preventing white ideas. Of course, white can like spawn a beetle here, so you don't prevent it completely. But if that happens, black has this very nice pocket, or maybe called beetle factory, I'm not sure. The point is that the beetle cannot be pinned, and I will be able to at least recover a beetle that will cover my queen. Or if the beetle comes from here, then the beetle here would be able to cover. So this is sorry. So if beetle comes here, my beetle would be able to cover the beetle before it actually covers my queen. So what is white gonna do here? I have to say white came up here with a very interesting move, and not here at this point. So what is white gonna do here? I have to say David came up with a very interesting move. I was actually surprised and worried. This is the move the white played. It's actually quite interesting. for a few reasons. Well, the first one is that now I don't have that nice spot for the beetle anymore. That's the most important thing. Second thing is that the white mosquito gets pillbug power. At this point, probably there's nothing that's really white. I mean, the only thing white can do is move my pillbug one space here, far from my queen, which is probably not very dangerous at the moment, but it could be potentially at some point. Especially if I move the spider, the pillbug could be moved in this place, and that's further up, further from my queen. So yeah, it was quite an interesting move, I have to say. I liked it. Of course, there were other options, but again, the problem is always that the spider will pin the mosquito eventually. I decided to go on with ants. White tries to attack with the beetle. At this point, White decided to play pillbug, probably because he realized that placing another ant would mean, first of all, that the ant is pinned next to the queen, so this would be a compound attack. And second, well, that this sacrifice is actually not enough, because whenever the beetle is played, I can just shift back, and both beetles are pinned. Of course, this is not the end of the world. We'll see later on that there were some chances for white as well that involved this mosquito. The difference with the previous game is that the mosquito is free still, and that's a big difference. So white decided instead to place a pillbug, and I mean, it's always a good idea, and at the same time I like this position because it defends from a potential attack of the spider. There are other options, of course. The pillbug could be placed here, for instance, which is potentially better, with the idea of creating a sort of pocket in this area, so you could move a beetle again. Well, sorry, I could place a new beetle that could slowly cover the ladybug, or it could place also an ant here, for example. But okay, let's see what happened in the game after the after this move. I went with the last ant. At this point, white doesn't have anywhere to place the last ant without being pinned. Another idea that let's go back one move. Another idea that white has underestimated that I think it could have been worked is using the mosquito, convert the mosquito into a beetle, and then qualify for the win. Of course, black can still play this, but at least the white mosquito is on top of the hive. So again, making sure that you have at least one beetle on top of the hive gives you some chances in the long term. Of course, keeping the mosquito here is still kind of potentially dangerous, especially because, as we said, it could move the pillbug away at some point. But you have to consider also that I could do the opposite as well. So I could also move the mosquito out and pin it with the spider. So it's a kind of double-edged sword. So this move, placing the second beetle, I think was again a mistake. So when I said this move, I was quite critical about it, skeptical, but it's actually probably a good sacrifice, because in order to play your ant down, you need to sacrifice something, and I think the beetle was actually not a bad idea. I shift my pin and pin the white ant. The white hopper here tries to points at a kill spot. Of course, if the pillbag is not neutralized, again, there's not much that can be done. At this point, I felt it was dangerous for me to stay here, because white could always have the idea of moving the pillbag away and then keep attacking. At this point, black warps the ant away, and the idea is that the queen will move away, and the string of pieces will, the white mosquito and white ant will get pinned, and black definitely has an advantage. So I probably would have moved the mosquito now. White decided to place hopper, but this I think is the final really mistake, because at this point, yes, this actually frees both pieces again, but I can also use the pillbag to rearrange the hive and make sure that this ant doesn't go anywhere. I just moved the queen away. At this point, I'm quite sure that I'm not gonna lose, because this pillbag, even if it's not next to the queen, but is in elbow position, is a proximity pillbag, which means that I can probably move this ant away at some point. White went on with this move. He probably could have just went straight for this, like pinning the queen, but I guess he didn't want to convert the mosquito into a queen if you're not sure about the attack. So okay, this is fine, but at this point, notice that even if I'm not anywhere close to attack the white queen, but still, what counts at this point is the material. I have 6 pieces in reserve, white has only 2 pieces in reserve, and I have both beetles in reserve. So again, the lesson is, do not rush placing your beetles unless you really need to, or unless you use them as a sacrifice. In this case, it didn't work out too well, because I had already a couple of ants available. But in general, having unbalance between beetles and ants is very typical, as we've seen in the previous game. So this is something that you could do, sacrifice an ant for a beetle game or vice versa. At this point, unfortunately, there's not much to do. I'll go for a pin replacement. Spider will pin the beetle, and I have a free ant. What white is trying to do here is also to, I guess, surround the pillbag, which will make it less dangerous, but notice that the black queen is free. So not really much white can do. It's very hard for white to surround the pillbag and surround the queen at the same time with only 3-4 pieces. White really will need to convert the mosquito into a beetle and in order to qualify for the win. But again, the question is white playing for 2 or 3 results here? And the answer is, again, is playing for only 2 results. You can't play for 3 results in this position. So a few moves earlier, white should have thought, what should I do? I would have probably tried to use more minor pieces here earlier on in the game. For example, wait, this is fine. For example, this. Now, if black pins the hopper, it's not a big deal, and white can think of, for example, creating some sort of pockets so that the white beetle can climb on top of the hive. So go for a beetle game, for example, given that black has already the ant game here. And keeping the white ant reserve is fine. You don't have to place all your ants if you know they're going to be pinned. If you don't get anything in return, it's also fine to keep them. Of course, in the opening, it's always better to play ants first, as soon as possible. But in some situation, you have to balance with what you have, right? As I said, my queen keeps moving. Actually, white managed to get a little bit of counterplay at the end. It was almost about to surround my queen, but I have a sort of simpler plan. I only need to neutralize the pillbag and then slowly decide which of these kill spots I have to take first. notice that also if my hopper gets here, I will free the white ladybug. Of course, black still has an advantage, but I have to find like just the right sequence to win. Here it seems white is just about to surround the black queen, but of course it needs an extra piece here. If I'm not careful, this ring, it could be very dangerous because the white beetle could climb on top and then go down, so I could even lose at this point, or be very close to lose. So I gotta be careful. I break this ring, and my next move will actually make sure that I don't get into any trouble. So I put my pillbug back into proximity position so that I can lift away one of these two pieces. At this point, white time went to 0, so black won the game. And for white, there's not much to do. Whenever white tries to fill the last spot, black could just lift something away, and white doesn't have enough pieces actually to win. I mean, of course, things could get more complicated, but black has a very easy plan, and for white it becomes just trying to put some chaos, but it's a bit too late now, I think. Hope you enjoyed it, hope it was helpful, and watch out for the next videos coming out when the next rounds of the Fair Play Cup are going to be played, and also a new format that I think will start soon. I want to try to do some coaching online and show how people can progress by do a bit more focused training, let's say. Thank you everyone, and bye.